Genetic engineering is a real marvel of science. It's a very complicated process that requires some crazy equipment and some really cool enzymes. But the basic idea is that you copy DNA from one organism and paste it to another. All living things are written with the same 4-molecule genetic code: adenine, thymine, guanosine, and cytosine. And the sequence of those letters tells us how an organism will function. So a tomato plant has code sections that really don't allow it to tolerate cold very well. But there's a lot of these fish that live in the Arctic Ocean that have genes that tell them how to function really effectively in the cold. And so the scientists got this really interesting idea. Since tomato plants are written in ATGCs and these Arctic fish are written in ATGCs, why not take some of the ATGCs from the fish and put them into the tomato plant? If they're the same code, then one thing should be able to take on the traits of another. So they found the code for being able to tolerate the cold, and around it is other things to just make the fish function, right? Like the silly eyes on the same side of the head and scales and gills and stuff like that. And so the scientists, using chemical enzymes, cut that section of DNA out of the flounder and pasted it into the tomato plant. And now the tomato plant, the genetically engineered tomato plant, is able to tolerate much colder temperatures, which is good news because it means that it increases the areas that the tomato plants can grow in, and it also increases the growing season. The rest of the halibut's DNA is not used. So the tomatoes don't taste like fish, they don't grow eyes, they don't have scales. It's just that one specific section of code that serves that one specific function. Realistically, any trait coded on DNA can be copy and pasted into any other organism. We can use it to fix an organism of the same species. Like if a human is colorblind, we can copy and paste color vision DNA into their genome. But we can also go back and forth to different plants and animals and fungi and bacteria because we're all written in the same genetic code, so we're able to copy and paste from one to another to give animals really favorable traits. When we think about creating a food web on Mars, at first we think we're very trapped into the organisms that exist here on the planet the way that they are, but they've been naturally selected for Earth over millions of years. Maybe what we need to think about is the traits that are going to be useful on Mars in a very cold, very dry, very low oxygen environment, and find organisms that exist on planet Earth that have traits to be able to deal with those things, and then copy and paste that really favorable code into the organisms that we'd want to take with us so that we can pre-engineer Martian organisms that maybe would be able to survive better there because they've got the goods that they need before they even get to the planet.